The PC is ablaze with brand new games this year. We sorted through what we think is worth the attention. I'm Falcon, today on gameranx, the top 30 new PC games of 2019. Number 30 is Shenmue III. Now, I remember way back when Shenmue was originally released for the Dreamcast, and it was a revelation. I mean, does it exactly hold up now? No, but lots of what we have in today's games was introduced in Shenmue. In a lot of ways, Yakuza is kind of hyper Shenmue. For instance, a lot of us really thought we'd never see the conclusion of Shenmue's story. That seems to be basically what we're going to get, which is great. What I'm most interested in is how much they update the gameplay, but I think we'll know a lot more about that very soon. Shenmue is of course hitting PC, but also PS4 on August 27th. Number 29 is Tropico VI, obviously the latest in a long line of country simulators, basically. Basically, you get to be either a benign or a malignant dictator, and you'll shape a Caribbean island nation, obviously called Tropico, through 4 eras: colonial, World War, Cold War, and modern. Tropico's a great game filled with humor and, frankly, a really good simulator. Tropico V was great, and there's no reason to believe that Tropico VI, with its fully simulated citizens of the nation, will be anything less. Tropico will be, of course, hitting PC on March 29th and PS4 and Xbox One later in the year. Number 28 is Jump Force, a fighting game where the quote-unquote real world collides with the Shonen Jump universe. If you're not familiar, it's the various manga series like Dragon Ball, Naruto, One Piece, My Hero Academia, and even Death Note, although the characters from Death Note apparently will not be playable. Jump Force is 3-on-3 tag team fighting, and that sounds great. It's hitting PC as well as PlayStation 4 and Xbox One on February 15th. Number 27 is Tom Clancy's The Division 2. Obviously, The Division sounded like an amazing thing when it was announced, and it also looked better too before the graphics got a bit of a downgrade. It kinda turned out to be a Ubisoft open world game. And not that that's a bad thing, The Division isn't a bad game, but there looks to be some things that might set The Division 2 apart in ways the original didn't. For one, they've gone for a mature rating because they've amped the violence up a little bit, which makes sense. We're talking about a world where a disaster has gone down and it's more or less a martial law / all-out war situation. I have some hope The Division 2 is going to be better. Like I said, the original wasn't bad, but it just needs a little bit more to set itself apart, and this might be what it needs. The Division 2 is coming out on PC, of course, as well as PS4 and Xbox One on March 15th. Number 26 is Warcraft III Reforged, an HD remaster of a classic RTS. And from the looks of it, the graphics are actually quite a bit nicer, and the game itself doesn't look massively changed, which is great because that's kind of what you would want out of it, but we'll probably talk about it a little bit more in depth when it comes out. Needless to say, it's promising though. Warcraft III Reforged is coming sometime this year to the PC. Number 25 is The Surge 2, which The Surge, obviously a very good sort of sci-fi Dark Souls adjacent game, with apparently much larger and more ambitious level design according to the developers. They're also adding a specific limb targeting system, which will actually make a difference in the combat, which in my opinion is actually a really good idea, considering it could actually separate it from Dark Souls a little bit more, give it a little bit more of an identity, even though I would say I think it probably has gone ahead and done enough of that. Still, it's always nice to see it be its own thing, and The Surge 1 was great. I'm 100% positive The Surge 2 will be too. It's of course hitting PC, but it will hit PS4 and Xbox One as well sometime this year. Number 24 is Minecraft Dungeons, a spin-off of Minecraft, of course. Pretty self-explanatory. It's a dungeon crawler, and it does look a lot more structured, of course, than Minecraft being an, dungeon crawler rather than an open-ended building crafting experience. We haven't really seen any gameplay from it, but from the environments they showed in the trailer, it does look fairly unique and interesting, and I think that it does seem worth paying attention to. It's coming to PC sometime this year. Number 23 is Control, a game by Remedy Entertainment, the folks responsible for Alan Wake, Quantum Break, the first 2 Max Payne games. Frankly, just a good developer. And in a lot of ways, this looks to be building on some of the things that they touched on in Quantum Break. And while it will be a narrative game, it also intends to give you the ability to sort of engage in emergent gameplay and create your own stories, apparently. We'll see to what extent that actually means later on, but frankly, it looks like a good one. It'll be hitting PC as well as PS4 and Xbox One sometime this year. Number 22 is Rage 2, which is being jointly developed by id Software and Avalanche. Probably more focus on Avalanche, considering they were brought into the fold because of Just Cause, and a lot of Just Cause-ish destruction-oriented gameplay is present in the trailer, so we have to imagine that is at least part of it. This game takes place about 30 years after the first, and the color palette is something that I enjoy commenting on. It looks like a lot of fun, kind of like a neon Mad Max, so to speak, and I can't wait to check it out when it hits PC as well as PS4 and Xbox One on May 14th. Number 21 is Dirt Rally 2.0, which, if you remember the original Dirt Rally from back in 2015, you'll remember a phenomenal, tight, polished game with maybe a little bit less content than it should have had, but for me, it's pretty much one of the better rally car games, period. And Dirt Rally 2.0 comes at a time when even more is possible. For instance, they've included surface degradation to areas in all the stages, so that as you continue to go over a road surface, it will actually shift and brake. This is probably going to do a lot in opening up exactly how you play the game, but we'll see how much soon. Dirt hits PC as well as PS4 and Xbox One on February 26th. Number 20 is Civilization VI Gathering Storm, which is the second expansion pack for Civ 6, and it will be a weather-focused expansion, which is interesting. The idea is to determine how human action affects the weather in the last eras of civilization, which sounds a little too on the nose. Don't make me think about the real world, game. Civilization VI Gathering Storm is hitting PC on Valentine's Day, February 14th. Number 19 is Total War 3 Kingdoms, obviously a total war game that takes place during the three empires of China, which will give you two modes, Romance and Classic, based on Romance of the Three Kingdoms and Records of the Three Kingdoms, which of course will basically change how historically accurate the game is. Also, Classic will play closer to regular Total War, whereas Romance gives you some more individual commanding of generals, for instance. Apparently, Creative Assembly did a lot with the artificial intelligence, and I'm pretty interested to see exactly to what extent. Total War is hitting Microsoft Windows on March 7th. Number 18 is Dying Light 2, which is intended to really indulge in choice-based mechanics as far as story and world, and also during the day there will be a lot more focus on actually just doing things to improve the lives of normal citizens. Zombies will basically be gone during the day. I mean, you could probably go hunting for them. I don't know. They have to still exist somewhere. But during the night, they're going to be brought to the forefront. It sounds like a very interesting idea to sort of move towards a very consequence-oriented gameplay model, and I look forward to see if it actually happens. Because a lot of the time we're told, choice, that affects the game. It doesn't, really. But I also kind of think they might be serious about it because they have showed off some pretty interesting stuff. Number 17 is Wolfenstein Youngblood, in which you play as the two offspring of BJ Blazkowicz. Not, of course, both at the same time. You want to enlist a friend. It's a co-op game, which, let's just go ahead and say this, a co-op Wolfenstein set in the 1980s where the Nazis are still there, but we have all of the cool lighting stuff from the 1980s. I'm there. Although it sucks that they haven't beat them yet. The Nazis in Wolfenstein are way more competent than the Nazis in real life. Wolfenstein Youngblood is coming to PC as well as PS4, Xbox One, and Switch sometime this year. Number 16 is Metro Exodus, the third in the Metro series. It will continue the narrative from the previous Leave Off. For instance, our two main characters are now married. Aww. I'll bet that's quite convenient in a nuclear winter. Speaking of the nuclear winter, obviously they've done a very good job of showing us what that would look like. And what interests me is the combination of open world areas and linear gameplay. Apparently we're seeing plenty of both in this game, as well as a bunch of pretty awesome looking monsters. Metro Exodus is hitting PC as well as PS4 and Xbox One on February 15th. Number 15 is Gears 5. They've dropped the of war because people don't really say Gears of War in normal conversation. It actually is going to focus on Kate, who was more or less really the driver of the previous story in Gears 4. Not that the other people won't be there. The two Phoenixes, father and son, will be present, and also there will be local split screen as well as online cooperative gameplay. Really the strength of Gears of War. Gears 5 will be hitting PC, of course, as well as Xbox One sometime this year. Number 14 is Age of Empires 4, which we don't know a lot about, keep in mind. It was announced in 2017 and been kept a little bit quiet since. From the looks of it, Age of Empires 4 will take place across a lot of different eras, and it is coming to the PC sometime this year. Number 13 is Mortal Kombat 11, and I keep saying this, but the only thing I really care about in Mortal Kombat 11 is if they don't include microtransactions to do an easy fatality. Again, easy fatality is something that very well could be included for accessibility purposes. I want people with disabilities to enjoy Mortal Kombat as much as I do, of course, but charging for it? No. Let's not do that. Other than that, Mortal Kombat's an awesome series, and I cannot wait for the next entry in it. It is hitting, of course, PC as well as PS4, Xbox One, and Switch on April 23rd. Number 12 is Crackdown 3, the mythical Crackdown 3. I don't even know how this is happening, but the imminent release of Crackdown 3 is a thing. We're going to be destroying environments and enjoying ourselves in Crackdown 3's world very soon. It is, of course, hitting PC and Xbox One on February 15th. Number 11 is Anthem, the multiplayer loot collecting, robot suit piloting, hopefully great third-person shooter that recently added a social hub after feedback from beta, which is good, because I think most people assumed it was going to have one, even though they had pretty explicitly shown that it wasn't going to have one. However, from impressions, it's very not Destiny, even though in a lot of ways it sounds like Destiny. Honestly, the world just seems a lot more vibrant and alive, and we'll see exactly how that pans out. It could still not be great. I am kind of both looking forward to and hoping that it is good. I mean, Electronic Arts. I have hope though. Anthem's coming to PC as well as PS4 and Xbox One on February 22nd. Number 10 is Devil May Cry 5, which I can sum up basically in one word: finally. Not that DMC is bad. I know that people will disagree with me on that. A lot of people really hated DMC, but I thought in a lot of cases DMC did exactly what it was trying to do very well. It just wasn't Devil May Cry 5, and that's kind of what we all wanted, and we're all getting it now. It's Devil May Cry 5. It's the game that hack and slash people have wanted for years. I can't wait to play this game. It looks phenomenal. It's coming to PC as well as PS4 and Xbox One on March 8th. Number 9 is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, a game from Respawn that apparently is a single-player, lightsaber action type game, in some ways maybe even a little bit similar to Force Unleashed, game set after Revenge of the Sith. Now again, same era that Force Unleashed takes place in, however, you are a Padawan in this game, and you're trying to get by. Now this game is single-player only, and it is brought to us by the creators of Titanfall, of course. And let's just go ahead and say their campaign for Titanfall 2 was very good. It bodes well. It may be the Star Wars game we've been waiting for from EA, you know, after all the many games they've released. All 2 of them that have not been disappointments at all. Yeah. It's coming to PC, PS4, and Xbox One sometime this year. Looking at November, but we'll see. Number 8 is Hytale. Hytale comes to us by Hypixel Studios, the co-founders of the Hypixel Minecraft servers, with what looks like to be the intent of making bigger, better Minecraft. The game looks very much to be intended to work like Minecraft, with a creative mode that is obviously focused on building. However, they intend to have coding resources and tools allowing you to actually put new things into the game. Everything from 3D models to cinematics to even mini games. We'll see how that works out when it comes to PC sometime this year. Number 7 is Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, which is actually one of my most anticipated games at the moment. I like to describe it as faster looking Dark Souls with a grappling hook made by the Dark Souls developer, so it's not just a knockoff. Now, we don't know if it has any explicit connections to Tenku Stealth Assassin. From Software owns Tenku though, so it may, we don't know. It certainly shares some of the mechanics from it, that's for sure, and it may be a sort of spiritual successor, it may be something more direct, we don't know yet. We'll find out though when it comes out for PC and PS4 and Xbox One, March 22nd. Number 6 is Wasteland 3, a game that comes to us as a very interesting sort of both relic as well as side thing for Fallout. Wasteland, the original Wasteland back in the 1980s, inspired Fallout in a lot of ways, and Wasteland 2 did the same. Wasteland 3 now will be a squad-based role-playing game with turn-based combat, set in post-apocalyptic Colorado. It was developed by the same people who worked on Torment Tides of Numenera, which, yes, thank you, that's good. It's hitting PC as well as PlayStation 4 and Xbox One sometime late this year. Number 5 is Halo Infinite. Of course, obviously the next Halo game, which has been kept under wraps, even though this is technically the year. I suspect we'll probably get some sort of big presentation at E3 that's meant to market the game, but it does look interesting from what we've seen, which is, like I said, is very little. They intend to show us a very Master Chief oriented story, which is also good, and I think it's what we want from Halo, isn't it? It's hitting PC and Xbox One sometime this year. Number 4 is Resident Evil 2, the remake that came out a few days ago. That is amazing. I mean, there's really very little else to say about it. It's beautiful, it's gory, it's gross, it's hard as hell, and it retains all of the charm of the original while bringing it into a new era without seeming cheesy or strange. Resident Evil 2 is awesome. It's always been awesome, and it has been made into a modern game in a manner that doesn't taint the original in any way, which is beyond awesome, actually. That came out on PC. It's also out on PS4 and Xbox One. Number 3 is Doom Eternal, the sequel to Doom 2016, which, let's just go ahead and say this, Doom 2016, very good. Exactly what it should have been, as a matter of fact. An update that doesn't mess with the formula too much to make it not fun. However, it was brought into a much more modern context in a way that worked probably better than anybody thought it was going to. In fact, when I first heard they were doing a Doom remake, a Doom reboot, whatever you want to call it, I was kind of like, why? But after seeing it and playing it, I was kind of like, oh, that's why. Doom Eternal looks to continue that, and I think it probably will. It looks bigger, it looks more involved, and that's what I want out of it. Doom is the premier first-person shooter, the granddaddy of first-person shooters as we know them today. Doom Eternal is coming to PC, as well as PS4, Xbox One, and Switch sometime this year. Number 2 is Cyberpunk 2077, which is frankly just a huge deal just as it is. Night City looks to be very large, and it looks to be a landmark in open worlds on account how vertical it is. In a lot of ways, I've seen a lot of stuff that reminds me of Mirror's Edge, actually. Obviously, there isn't parkour that we're aware of in such a fashion, but despite its grimier look and its more wide color palette, I feel like there's some influence there that is worth talking about. We probably will later. Cyberpunk is just amazing looking. A first-person open-world RPG by the people who made The Witcher 3, yes, give me that, thanks. And finally, number 1 is The Outer Worlds. In my opinion, probably the most interesting, if not the definite best looking. Like Cyberpunk 2077 is gonna be hard to beat. But Outer Worlds, it comes to you from the folks that made Knights of the Old Republic 2, the better one, considering that both those games are gold, is saying a lot. The creators of New Vegas, by far the best 3D Fallout game, the one that actually cares about being Fallout, and it takes place in outer space and kind of looks like space Fallout. Looks a bit critical of how things are as well. That's always good. That's a good basis for a story, in my opinion. It looks vibrant, it looks interesting, and it's not a creation engine game because why would they even bother with that? It's not a Bethesda game, so use an engine that isn't garbage. Thanks for using Unreal, Obsidian. I'll be playing The Outer Worlds when it hits PC, as well as Xbox One and PS4 sometime this year. Some bonus games for you. Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown. It has been a while since an Ace Combat game came out. Ace Combat 6 was arcade and simulation, sort of mixed, and it's been a while. It's been over a decade. Jake just did a Before You Buy a few days ago. If you're interested, that's the console version. The PC version is, of course, course, hitting February 1st. Next is Skull and Bones, the open-world naval combat game based on the Assassin's Creed naval combat. I think that's all I need to say in order to be interested in it. I'm looking forward to it. It's hitting PC, PS4, and Xbox One sometime this year. Far Cry New Dawn, the first chronological sequel in the Far Cry series, taking place 17 years after the nuclear ending of Far Cry 5, so after a nuclear apocalypse. In fact, during the game, the world is apparently reclaiming itself, and we see a lot of nature and a very nice wide color palette, something I care about, obviously, maybe more than other people. I say that all the time. I see a good color palette, I'm like, yeah. Far Cry New Dawn is hitting PC, as well as PS4 and Xbox One on February 15th. Biomutant looks to be an action RPG platforming kind of mascot-y game, except for you have a lot of control over the look of your Biomutant. It's obviously raccoonish, but I think it's going to be a deep game with a faster pace than maybe your typical action RPG, but maybe a little slower than a hack and slash. I don't know, it looks really interesting to me. It's hitting PC as well as consoles sometime this year. Man of Medan is a game from the developers of Until Dawn. They are launching their own sort of cinematic universe. I don't know if we have a word for that in games yet, but the Dark Pictures anthology is, of course, what they're referring to, Man of Medan being the first game. It looks to be the same kind of game, except for multi-platform and perhaps maybe a little more involved. It's hitting PC and a PS4 and Xbox One sometime this year. And finally, Left Alive, a mech game that looks like something from the PS2 era, except for with much better graphics, taking place in the Front Mission universe, something I want to play, like, a lot. Honestly, it looks amazing. That's coming to PC and PS4, February 26th. What PC games are you looking forward to this year? Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think, and if you like this video, please click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification bell. As always, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time, right here on gameranx.